drugs that are worth taking when something has gone wrong, for which this is an appropriate remedy. But in general, the style of thinking in which people are, put on statins because some number on their chart suggested to somebody that they were in danger. This is nonsense, and it doesn't pan out. If you look at the evidence, we harmed people with statins, right? The number of people who benefited from them was tiny. The number of people who sold them was large. And then you can extend this logic to other things too. How much are you wired for this world, and how much could you restore a relationship with other people and with the environment that just simply matches what your ancestors would have done, right? We would all benefit by spending more time outside. We all benefit from having close relationships with friends, with lovers, things that last a lifetime. And the obsession with modernizing everything is self-defeating, right? In general, there are things that are worth modernizing, but it should be a fairly high bar. When we depart from an ancestral pattern, it should be for a very good reason, and it should be with our eyes wide open about the unintended consequences of doing it. So I don't know whether this is striking you as operationalizable, but you want your environment to look as ancestral as it can. You want the developmental environment of a child to be a good match for the environment that they're going to live in as an adult. You want your relationships to be, again, I'm not arguing for perfectly traditional, but you want them to be recognizably traditional, right? And those things, it's kind of a high bar because, frankly, you've got something that your ancestors didn't have.
There's two last questions I have for you, if that's okay. One of them is kind of raised there, which was, absolutely was not raised there, but it was in between the lines of one of the things you said about relationships, is pornography. And we live in a world now, because of screens and all of these things, that we can access these sort of artificial romantic relationships and stimulation using the screens that 11-year-olds have in their pocket. My question is pornography bad for us?
It's an unmitigated disaster. But I will say that with a caveat. I am not arguing against erotica. Humans have a very long-standing relationship with erotic content, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with erotic content. The problem is pornography itself, and I know I'm not supposed to be able to define it, but I will anyway. Pornography is erotic content, the motivation for producing it having been profit. So what's happening is the people who are making porn are transferring our wealth to them, and I don't just mean money. They are destroying the sacred sexual toolkit that is the birthright of every human being. They are destroying it for money. They are distorting it. And that distortion, I would say, comes in two identifiable realms. One is that, well, actually, maybe it's more than two, but men have two general reproductive strategies that work evolutionarily. Women have one. The two that men have are a sow and go, love them and leave them, don't invest in women or their offspring mode. And the other is invest in offspring and contribute to protecting them and raising them. When men are in that second mode, they are not exactly like women, but they are symmetrical to women in terms of how choosy they are about mates, about how careful they are in their interactions. When men are in the first mode, when they're thinking in terms of not investing in a sexual partner, that is effectively predatory. And the reason that it's predatory is that human babies are so expensive to raise that no woman with a choice would elect to raise one alone if she could instead have a partner join her in that. So women are built to avoid sex that does not come with commitment. They've been convinced by modernity that that's not sophisticated, that that's male oppression, whatever it might be. But the truth is, we have moved in the direction of women behaving like men at their worst rather than men behaving like women at their best. And it's a mistake. So you don't want relationships, especially really ones about the most powerful stuff there is. Right? A human sexual interaction is about as close as you get. And you don't want that relationship to be about some predatory mode that you have for, I don't know, ancestral circumstances that frankly were often ghastly and unforgivable.
Rape and things like that.
Rape and things like that, exactly. So what we should really want is a society that actually causes men to find this other side of themselves, which is an investing, caring, decent side. And that's not an unmasculine side, right? A man, investing in a woman and defending his family and providing for them, that's all perfectly masculine stuff, right? It's a lot more mature than the other alternative. But in any case, the pornography is pushing us in the direction of this predatory mindset being synonymous with sexuality. It also inherently leads to a view of sex that is extreme. And the reason for that has to do with market competition. That pornographers are all selling the same thing, right? They're selling human sex. How do you capture attention in a market where every competitor has the same stuff? Well, you figure out what taboo hasn't been broken yet, and you break it. That will distinguish you from your competitors. You've got an arms race in which pornographers are trying to find more and more extreme stuff to get the attention and therefore the money of consumers. It's not a good idea. You don't want an arms race. Sex isn't some new thing. It's not a technology that we're trying to figure out where it goes. This is an ancient thing. And we're wrecking it in an economic arms race that is really bad for the people who consume this stuff. And it's really bad for society. It's causing people not to want to partner because when they do start a sexual relationship, they may find that their partner is violent because, here's the hidden aspect of this. Human beings figure out what sex is in large measure through observation of other humans. That's natural. And in fact, in hunter-gatherer societies, we know that, as weird as this sounds, kids learn what sex is because they're housed with their parents and they may, be half asleep. And so they observe something real. So the human is built to learn this through some kind of observation and inference. But if your detectors are saturated with phony sexual interactions designed to get you to, pay attention rather than real sexual interactions that actually happen between people, then it corrupts your whole understanding of what you're supposed to be doing.